A Soldier's Diary, 1893 to 1918. The Great Stampede. A few days later, I was detailed to be head guard of the animals. This is where you take all the horses and mules out of camp and let them graze. There was me and 3 others doing this duty. We turned the horses and packed mules out of the camp and away they go. They ran like hell down the trail and up on the sands, down the flats towards the mountains. About 2 miles from the post, there was 2 men in front and 2 men in back. Off to our left, there was a canyon about 500 yards away. It was about 30 feet wide and 60 feet deep. As headman, I was told to go watch out for the canyon and not to let the horses fall into it. I thought, this is an easy minor detail. All of a sudden, the mule started kicking and running. Then the horses started to run again. All of them headed straight for the canyon. You see, down in the canyon they have water springs, and they wade in there to cool off and drink water. This is how it all starts now. You see, a mule farts while he's grazing, and when he farts, he kicks his back leg so high in the air. Oh, boys, does he kick high. I swear he scares himself with those farts. Oh, what such farting and kicking. As soon as they start running, which in turn gets the horses running, you have a stampede. We work like hell trying to stop the stampede. We tried to head them off and break the line, and it is a job to turn them. I thought, they are all going to end up in the bottom of the canyon, and I will be in big trouble when I got back. If I went back. I was riding for all I was worth when a cloudburst of rain came on. And rained like hell for a few minutes. It comes on so sudden-like. The rain comes down from the mountainside and makes gutters along made of soft sand and rocks. I started off like hell to try and head them off. The next thing I knew, I was looking into the eyes of an old Indian and his squaw. She was holding me and trying to give me some water. My horse hit a soft spot and took a spill. I went flying off at full speed, landed on my belly. I was okay after a little while, just got the wind shook out of me. I got up and walked around and left all right. One of the men rode into the herd and got my horse. I looked around, and there were the horses and mules grazing again as if nothing happened. One of the other fellows on this duty told me the animals just stopped on their own. They did not see what happened to me, as they were too busy chasing the horses and the mules. Everything was fine. My horse was grazing with his bit still in his mouth. All of a sudden, up they jumped again, but this time, they were heading for the fort at full gallop. I thought, this is all I need. I could picture the animals going through the fort at full gallop wrecking things. Well, these old devils knew the ropes. They just slowed down and put themselves in the corral and stables as if nothing happened. This time it happened to me, just like the other men in charge. Now here's the joke. It was on me. I was not amused. Shortly after my time with the Stampede, me and a man named George took a 3-month furlough and went out to Pine Top in the hills. The mule skinner wagon dropped us down there. George and me planned to do some hunting and fishing. We took a week to build a log cabin. This was a damn good cabin, not some lean type of affair. Plenty of timber and plenty of honey. Make sure you look out and not get stung by them bees at their hives. We hunted for big gray squirrels. Also, there was wild turkeys, quail, pheasants, deer, and boar. You could fish for all the mountain trout you want. But don't forget plenty of them, But someone has to shoot them before you can eat them. George and me did this for 3 months. Everything was going fine until one day some damn young Indian boy came along, walked into our cabin. He had something wrong with one of his arms, crooked like. His camp was a little way up from the canyon from our cabin. He stood still, looking around the cabin for a while. When all at once, he picked up George's hunting knife as if to look at it. George knew where the knife was at all time. It was his hunting knife that he used all the time. The boy started to leave, and George shouted, "Where's my knife?" The boy made believe he did not know what George was talking about. So George socked him really hard, and the boy yelled and ran out of the cabin. An old prospector nearby told us George had hit the chief's son. He was Chief Neshe's son. I said to myself, no, I know this man. But I figured it weren't me who socked him. That was enough for me and George. We told the old prospector to take care of our stuff and send it in with the next logging party. It only took us a few minutes to get our gear together, and we was gone like a ghost. George and me made tracks back to the post. We told our captain what happened. He said if the Indians caught us, they would have combed our hair down the middle if they caught us in time. There was about 200 Indians up over the hill from us. One day, me and some other fellows were riding along between the East Fork and North Forks of the White River. We looked up and saw a hole in the side of the mountain about 500 feet up. We all thought it was a bear hole, and we were a little scared to go in. Well, we climbed up and went in and did not see any traces of a bear. I had my gun loaded and ready for anything. We took a lantern along and some rope. Then we started to explore the hole. The fellow in the lead with the lantern had the light and said, "It's just like a little alley in here." Then we saw a room about 8 by 8 and 7 feet high. The room looked like water had washed it out from time to time, and so did the alley. The room walls were hard and formed a runoff pattern 4 to 6 feet high up the whole way. Then we went down a bit on a crooked slant and came to the other little room with another crooked way ahead. We started to explore the hole again with one fellow on the lead with the light. We went way back, and in this room was a little mound that looked like a beehive. In the beehive was an awful bunch of little skulls, little arms, and little legs. At the bottom of the beehive was a little door hole in it. We opened up the door and found it was full of arrowheads. These arrowheads were scattered around all the alleys and rooms. There was a lot of broken pottery with all colors of paint on them. They looked like jugs you would carry water in. We saw 8 or 10 more of these rooms, and all looked alike. They went back a long way in the mountain. They must have been awful small people. No one seemed to know anything about them. They say they were not cliff dwellers. Boys, it would scare you to go through the place we called the alley. We took some of the skulls and used them as a tobacco box. The skulls were about as big as a grapefruit. Just imagine yourself standing down on an old trail and looking up on the side of a mountain and seeing a big hole up there, about 500 feet, and running back 150, 200 yards back. Then water running through it in the back. You can hardly believe it yourself when you stand down there and look at it. Since I left, I have read in some of those National Geographic books where they found a lot more places like them than one I'd seen long ago. Then, they flew by airplane and went by horses and mules, made their base on a big flat where they could land the plane. I wish I could write down all the funny things I saw out there. The things nature made from sand, stone, and water. You see, I do not know how to spell the names of these things, and do not know how to word it. If I could, I guess I could write a pretty nice story about Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah.